it'll coincide with our training system. So as we see it, function is what something is meant for, what's the design of an object or design of a thing, what it's designed for. And the human body is designed to do 4 basic things, which is the 4 pillars of human movement, and we'll talk about that a little bit. So in order to organize what function is, it's designed. So for example, these glasses here that I'm wearing, what is the function? To magnify things so I can read better. That's it, okay? So that's what function does. So when you look at functional training, it's training that optimally enhances the 4 pillars, which is locomotion, level change, push and pull, and rotation. We'll talk about those a little bit later. But it's very simple. Function, what something does. Functional training, training that optimally improves what something does. And functional strength training is the system or the methods that you use to improve functional strength. Okay, or that you, well, yes, functional strength is what you're developing with the functional training. Now, the problem with functional strength is that it's hard to measure. You can measure bench press, but functional strength is how a grappler handles another person, which kind of coincides with technique, coincides with psychomotor vigilance. So functional training is awesome, but the problem is that it's very hard to quantify. You can't do a 1RM with functional strength, okay? So that is the problem that we have with defining one definition for functional strength and one definition for functional training. It's very difficult, and that's why. One of the things that functional strength does, which I love, is it takes range of motion into consideration, and range of motion by definition is flexibility. So when we talk about, oh, the hamstrings are short, well, how do you know they're short? Oh, because he pulled them. No, not necessarily. He pulled them. What is a pulled muscle? A pulled muscle is when more stress is put on a muscle than it can handle. And oftentimes it has nothing to do with the length of the muscle, because a lot of times the muscle is pulled right in the middle of the range of motion. But that is often interpreted, especially in the rehab world, as lack of flexibility. The natural fix to that is static flexibility, static stretching. And that is not the appropriate way to handle a lot of issues that are given to flexibility. So functional strength trains the functional ranges of motion, okay? And by definition, handles the flexibility portion. So you will not see too many people stretching at IHP, because there has to be a very, very specific reason why you're stretching a muscle, especially beyond a range where it will not be used, okay? That has a host of issues. All right, quick history. Functional training and functional strength has always been here. Before machines, before even rubber, before weights, all of that, everything we did was kind of functional. If you wanted to be strong in the farm, you worked in the farm. If you wanted to be strong in the battlefield, you marched and ran with your sword and your shield and so on and so forth, and you did your exercises. Remember, a lot of the training was first formulated to prepare armies for battle. A shield could possibly weigh between 10 and 15 pounds, and a sword could possibly weigh between 5 and 7 pounds. So imagine swinging a 5 to 7 pound hammer for 4 to 5 hours, running with a hammer in one hand, a shield in the other. What kind of strength you would have? It's insane. Now we call that functional training, but back in the day, you picked up pigs, you swung swords, and so on and so forth. So that has always been here. When the Europeans came and brought bodybuilding and body culture and everything to the United States, bodybuilding became prominent in the 50s and 60s. Pumping Iron gets published in 77 with Arnold, and all of a sudden bodybuilding becomes cool. Being big and muscular becomes fashionable. Arnold was the one who did that in the 70s. Then the functional revolution occurs in the 90s with Gary Gray and Vern Gambetta, and off we go to the races. Every popular magazine used the word function. In the 2000s, internet explodes, obviously, and then boom, everybody's doing functional training. And if you want to see the ultimate in confusion, all you have to do is go to Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook and have a big bag of popcorn, and there is your Friday night movies. Go ahead, have fun, because you're going to see stuff that Stéfane and I looked and we go, we don't even know what that is, okay? And we're very educated. We don't even know what they're trying to train. That's how crazy things have become. So whether we have different definitions or not, it's nice to kind of everybody bring down, because I think we're all in agreement that standing on a Bosu ball with one leg, one dumbbell in one hand, and a vibration, one in the other, and one patch over the eye is not functional. And so crazy things like that now we know are not functional. So we're narrowing it down into usable training that's really cool. All right, so now this type of training has a lot of implications that lie below the exercise science world, below the fibers and all that. It has huge sociological implications. People who gravitate to functional training are usually less apt to do very abusive training with the 300-pound squats and the 500-pound deadlifts. Those people are usually more movement oriented. So you will see that culture will be injured less, and not injured less because functional training is so effective, injured less because they're not abusing their body in a gym. Okay, if you see most bodybuilding training and powerlifting, it's abusive. Most joints can't take that. The human being wasn't made for those kinds of loads. So unless you have a freak genetic predisposition, you're going to end up with hips and knee and shoulder issues. Then it's got a psychological implication also. The functional training is known for its rotation and diagonal patterns. That's one of the things that it just inherently does. Well, we know that diagonal patterns and rotational patterns improve cognition. Cognition. If you want to read about that, Smart Moves, Why Learning is Not in Your Head. That's the name of the book, Smart Moves by Carla Hannaford. Okay, she has a 1995 and 2005 publication. Get that 2005 publication is awesome. If you want to read another book, Spark is also a great book that talks about the psychological implications of these cross patterns. And of course, it's got this physiological parameter where if you believe in the principle of specificity, the movements associated with functional training often either train similar movements to what the activity that's trying to be improved are, or mechanisms that improve those patterns. So it doesn't have to be the complete pattern, but it could be partial pattern that really carries over to the complete pattern. So you have these three huge components that really exemplify why functional training is so popular. Remember, it's popular for a reason. And maybe it's popular because it's fun, it's different, it doesn't hurt the body, and it improves function, so, and it improves maybe alertness and stuff like that. So it's got a lot of implications that we need to consider. All right, we have to look at the application now. The academic perspective is very unique. We study anatomy, we study biomechanics, but normally the anatomy and the biomechanics that are studied are that of a cadaver, because that's how anatomy first gets described. And Gary Gray said something very interesting. When the foot hits the ground, everything changes. So for example, in a cadaver laying down, you stimulate the bicep, the elbow flexes. So they go bicep, elbow flexors. Well, look at a runner and see how he uses the bicep to flex the elbow in conjunction with the anterior deltoid and the pec unilaterally to rotate the body. Now I ask you, what biomechanics course that you have ever taken that tells you that the bicep is a synergistic rotator of the body? Not one is the answer, and that's why. Also, the latissimus muscle, also a diagonal muscle, great for rotating the body. That's how you swing everything. That's how you punch. That's how you kick. So you've got these muscles that are not known as rotators, whose main function when used unilaterally are rotational in nature. So when you look at this, you understand that theory really and research is really lagging behind about 10 years behind what we're doing. So for example, psychomotor vigilance, I've been training that now for 2 years actively. I've been suspecting it for about 7 years. And so now we're gonna start doing the first training or the first research on psychomotor vigilance. And I'm telling you right now, we're gonna be studying a very, very, very small component. So first, we want to see that it exists, when it's high and when it's low. That tells you nothing about how it works and how to train it. We're already there. So the practice is always leading theory and research. And so you have to understand that so you don't get into conflict with professors, with universities, and with practitioners, okay? The practical applications and the methods are based on results. We have for example, in rehab, you have 16 visits. Whether you're really successful or not, you have 16 visits. The insurance is going to pay no matter what. Personal trainers don't live like that. If they give you 12 sessions and they don't see results, I'm telling you right now, they'll go to another trainer. So trainers, personal trainers, operate under a different kind of pressure. We have to be results oriented, and it's not results on a paper. It's results in the client's mind, okay? Results in the client's mind. You don't have that as a personal trainer, you starve to death. You don't know how many people we have with master's degrees that have come into personal training and have ended up driving trucks for UPS, doing computer work for big companies, and have changed doing sales, pharmaceutical sales, and done totally other business work because they can't handle the personal training heat. It's a different world, guys. It's a different world. It's a wonderful world because you change lives every day. All right, so we were talking about the 4 pillars, which kind of define function. Okay, so what's the function of the body biomechanically? Because that's what trainers and performance coaches are concerned with. You know, aside from the spiritual and psychological issues, which are huge. The 4 pillars of human movement are locomotion, level changes, push, pull, and rotation. Locomotion involves all other pillars because when you take a step, you change your level, or when you're going to change directions, you change your level. When you change your level, you're usually moving arms in opposition. One arm goes forward, the other one goes back, okay? Which brings in the latissimus and the chest and all these other muscles we talked about. When you're also moving the upper body, your lower body is moving in opposition, and that creates rotation. So even locomotion alone, the most important thing that human beings do is to get from point A to point B, locomotion. Even that has all other pillars involved. So of course, swinging a bat, picking up a child, all of the other stuff, you can see the 4 pillars are very active. So if you're not enhancing the 4 pillars and you're not targeting the 4 pillars, you're not training functionally, period. It's very easy to look at that when you're starting to put your program together from a philosophical standpoint. Okay, basic exercises. In the functional training world, we have 5 basic modalities. Body weight, which is the most important because you have to teach body control, okay? Bands and pulleys, because it's the only way to load non-vertical vectors. Easy. Dumbbells, because you can train unilaterally, bilaterally, you can do just about anything, and you can surf the curve. You can train heavy and slow or light and fast. Medicine balls, because you can throw them, and that's a great way to develop speed and power. The biggest mistake with medicine balls is that everybody wants to throw heavy medicine balls, and sports and usually sports outside of powerlifting and Olympic weightlifting is not about heavy and slow. It's about lightning fast, especially when you're dealing with fighters. You'll see these fighters that are really thin that just touch somebody and they knock them out. Why? They don't bench press 300 pounds. It's because of the speed and the placement of the strike is so efficient and so precise that it doesn't take a 300-pound bench press, and that's why we're getting away from the heavy lifting for all sports. And I'll show you a video that'll show you how little strength is needed to do some of the big basics things. And stability balls. We thought stability balls were for unstable training, and now we realize that really the best thing about stability balls are that it can place your body in any position you want and hold it there. So it can take dangerous positions and hold your body in dangerous positions. For example, if you lay down on the ball and you lean back, you are in a hyper-extended position, but the ball allows you to get there and not be dangerous because you're fully supported, okay? That's just an example. So we're now using stability balls that we once used for unstable training just for body positioning. Okay, the simple programming that we use hybrid training. That's the system that we use. What's hybrid training? We use all, or at least we make available from a conceptual standpoint, all training available to us. If I need to get somebody to teach somebody how to be strong, there's barbells, dumbbells, and machines. Load them up and teach them how to throw huge impulses from the brain to the muscular system. That's a learned event. So you can teach them. It doesn't mean they have to become power lifters. You just teach them how to be strong as they can be, okay? Then we periodize our programs, which periodize means you just manipulate the program, let's say 8 weeks or 8 months. over periods. So you make things, you chunk them up into small pieces so you can manage them. And the whole idea of periodization is to build a body pretty much like you build a house. Okay, the base, for example, would be your anatomical adaptation or your conditioning. Okay, then your walls would be your strength, your roof would be your power, and then the finished work with the doors and windows would be your power endurance. The same sequence you use to build a house is what we use to develop an athlete over whatever period, 4 years for the Olympics or 4 weeks for an emergency fight. You gotta build it that way so you have some organization. The programming is the week to week, day to day, how you put your exercises together. And we have a very, very unique way of training, let's say bodybuilding or training traditional strength, and then using the rest periods in between to do our functional stuff. So we have almost a perfect hybrid situation where we can use the best features of all training, and we don't throw away anything. I'm not a big yoga practitioner, but I know that there's a lot of yoga movements and a lot of yoga philosophies and methods that you can bring into functional training to make it really, really extra special or extra specific. I love Olympic weightlifting, but I don't necessarily use it because I don't believe it's that functional. But I do like some of the Olympic weightlifting programming, periodization, and let's say systems that I can apply to functional training. And this is what allows us to be kind of a hybrid training program or training system that is hard to beat, because you can use the best of each of the individual training philosophies. And all training philosophies, like Bruce Lee taught us in Jeet Kune Do, all training philosophies have something good. And as a professional, it's not in your best interest to throw away anything, but to just openly analyze what the art is or what the method is, and then extract 1 or 2 things, and boom, we're good to go. Okay, so at this point in time, I want to show you some videos. And by the way, if you want to get in touch with me, my email is jcs@ihpfit.com, jcs@ihpfit.com. If you want to go to our university, ihpuniversity.com. And if you want to follow us at IHPFit, we're all over social media thanks to my son. So now, here, let's go to how we see function. So you can see things a little different way. So you can see things through the eyes of IHP, and that'll kind of tell you how different we are. Because I can tell you, we're different. If I don't show you this, you'll go, okay, different. What does that mean? I'm going to show you now how we see the world, and you're going to go, uh-oh, time to start learning all over again. Don't feel bad. I'm 61, and I'm thrilled that I still have a lot to learn, because if not, imagine how boring life would be, right? All right, let's take a look at jumping, which is a very popular thing that everybody wants to do. I want more of a vertical jump. So let's look at the vertical jump, and then let's analyze the vertical jump to see if it's what you guys see. All right, so let's take this thing off here. Now, you know, you're going to see it, and then I'm going to ask you to look at a few things. So let's just take a look at this and see how these guys are doing. Wow, you know, a lot of activity, a lot of jumping.
Sorry, JC, we still seeing the slides. So you got to minimize, I believe, the slides.
Minimize the slides? Okay, let me see.
Go on, yeah.
How about now? Can you see the video? Can you see the video?
A little delay, let me see.
It says sharing is pause. Bring your shared window to the front. Okay. Can you see it?
It's frozen now for me.
My
There's
shared
a delay.
window.
1 second. Yeah, somebody's saying there's a delay. 1 second. What do you guys see? Professor Binkley, what do you see there? It's frozen. Yeah. JC, do what you did.
Yeah, it's frozen and transition to coming off.
All right, let me see if I can turn it back on. All right, boom. How about now?
Still frozen.
All right, hold on.
Maybe stop sharing and start sharing again, like we did before. Or just close the window for the PowerPoint and then open the video. Because for us, it's kind of like halfway through and then froze.
How about now?
Binkley, what do you see?
Sharing is paused. Resume share. Hold on.
Oh yeah, resume share.
I'm hitting resume share. Nothing's happening.
It just looks like you were closing the PowerPoint. It's transitioning off to the right, but it's like, okay, now I think.
Oh yeah. All right, now go back, GC.
How about now?
Now we just see no share screen now.
Yeah, now, yeah, because of the delay. Just go back and then start sharing again, please.
Got it.
Yes.
All right. So anyways, let's go back and I'm going to show you jumping and you're going to see, we're going to look at it and then we're going to analyze it because I want you to look at it. And I know, if you're like me, if you're normal like me, you will see what we normally see. And then I want you to look at it the way IHP looks at it and you'll see a few things that you missed. Not because you're dumb, because nobody's ever explained it to you. That's all. All right, here we go. When we look at these kinds of sports, we go, wow, look at this and look at this muscular aspect of the legs. Geez, look at his legs. Look how he jumps. Look at the height. Oh, that's what we look at because that's what you're trained to look at. And you're looking at this and you're looking at the height. Man, his head went over the, look at that. Head over the rim. Beautiful. Boom. That's what we look at, right? Look at this. Damn. Who missed that? Who missed the play? But then I'm going to show you how to look at a video so you can see what's underlying everything. Okay, look at this. You're going to go, oh, knee braces. I wonder why his knee braces. Maybe some of you are looking at, wow, the knees are in. The knees are in. Why are his knees collapsed? And then you're going to look at this guy's knees collapse right here. And you go, why do the knees collapse? Coach, they've asked me, Coach, do you train people to squat with your knees in? This is what they ask because this is what they're looking at. Look at here. Look at this right here. Knees in. Look at this. Knees in. You go, wow. All right. So now let's take a look at real quick. All right. Okay. See that? We're going to look at this big one now. Okay. Let's look at this a little different. Number one, okay, notice that this knee here, he's operating with a lead step. That lead step creates forward momentum. That's energy. And for you to take 2 or 3 steps kind of fast, like a jog, man, you create a lot of momentum because it's your speed times your mass of your weight. It's a lot of energy. All right, so now what happens? Look at this. All right, he's using this like a pole vault. Very little knee bend. Very little knee bend. There's no squatting here. And this here is bending. This leg is bending to set up this angle. This is a triangle right here, right? It's a triangle. And this hypotenuse is his leg. The base is being set by this leg. And this angle, okay, of the base, okay, and the hypotenuse is the angle that you set up based on your base, which is horizontal momentum. This triangle is very high, very little base. Why? Very little speed. Now watch. Ball of foot, ball of foot. So the transfer is occurring from the ball of the foot and not through a flat foot. And the name of the game is here at about 20 degrees of knee flexion. Okay, from standing up, from straight standing. So then look at this. How does he generate that much vertical lift when he doesn't even use leg power? Why? Because he's not producing leg power. So when you use Olympic weightlifting to produce leg power, understand what you're doing. You're teaching someone to produce leg power when they're not producing leg power. They're taking the horizontal energy created by the locomotion that they're using, okay, and using the lead leg from the ball of the foot with a straight torso to here's a word, to transfer energy. Transfer energy. The manipulation of momentum is where the power in sports comes from. It's not from producing power. It's not from producing strength. It's from transferring energy that's usually done through very, very, very narrow ranges of motion at their biomechanical strongest angle. This is totally different than a squat, leg press, than bodybuilding. So it's about efficiency. How much can I get out of the minimal amount of work? What do we do in gyms? If he works harder, I'm going to work twice as hard. No, no, no. You got to become twice as efficient so you can do more with half of what the guy's doing. That's where this needs to go. Get it? Now watch this, how different a fast two-legged jump is. What you think is a two-legged jump is not a two-legged jump. Watch this. See it? Now watch it from this angle. Boom. Let's stop here. Number one, ball of foot. The rear leg is already setting up this hypotenuse and this angle here. Look at the knee bend that's being used just to set it up. Maybe, I would say maybe 50 degrees, 60 degrees, but it's not under force yet. Watch what happens. Okay, now, there it is. Look at this triangle. Uh-oh, look at this angle. Why is it so low and why is this almost straight at this point? Look, this is not weight bearing. It's on the ball of the foot. All this is bending is to set up this angle, and this angle, like a pole vault, has to be optimized. The angle has to be right. The stiffness has to be right relative to the speed. He's coming faster, so this triangle is flatter than the other triangle, and then of course, boom. Now, if you see it again, you see it quite different, see? So the knees are not caved in, everybody. The knees are perfectly aligned. This knee is perfectly aligned to stop this momentum. And this momentum created, this knee is perfectly aligned to create this forward momentum. See what I'm saying? So both knees, this one's going forward, this one is stopping. They're both perfectly aligned to the relative horizontal energy that they are producing or that they are transferring. So this has nothing to do with squatting, nothing to do with high pulls, nothing to do with anything. None of this is flat-footed. Everything's from the ball of the foot. So you don't require ankle flexibility. You require ankle stiffness. Everybody wants to twist their ankles like Gumby, okay? No, it's stiff ankles. And we have this analysis to running, to swinging, to throwing, to all other different types of activities. And we have a course called the Biomechanics of Function at IHP University, or IHP Pro Shop, ihpproshop.com. And we have a course that we call the Biomechanics of Function, and we analyze all of these exercises. Now, I'm going to show you some of the exercises that we're just working with, okay? Simple. So, all right, hold on just a minute. Let me see if I can, all right, share screen. Are you good? Can you see it now? Stefan, can you see it? You're muted. Turn on your mic.
It's white, but I think it's gonna come maybe delayed. Last time was the same thing. It was white, then you did something.
There we go.
Yes, now we see.
Cool. All right. So this exercise would make more sense if we studied the running video. Okay, but this course is 3 or 4 hours long, and we've only got about 40, 50 minutes of lecture. So I just want to show you. So when you look at the running, you will see the same thing that we observed, but of course, different aspects of the body's anatomy and the transfer. But to create stiff ankles, these are the simple exercises that we use. Look, simple. I mean, it costs nothing, and this is probably the most simple exercise that will improve any running, 5 kilometers, 10 kilometers. If you have a power plate, something like that, Boom, right there. That's perfect. Simple. What are we creating? Ankle stiffness. If you want to be vertical, we can create the forward lean with a lean box. Simple stuff, guys. This is not rocket science. For acceleration, when you do need a little knee bend, especially getting off the blocks, again, ankle at 90 with varying moves here at knees. To cut in and cut out, if you see a video, you will see a lot of this. Eversion and inversion, but from the subtalar joint, from the ball of the foot. And this is the outside leg when you're cutting in. The other was the inside leg when you're cutting in. And so functional training doesn't have to be complicated. As a matter of fact, we're finding out that the simplest thing is usually the better thing. This is just forward pushing at a very basic level. And then, of course, we can go to single leg. So you can start everything with 2 leg, so you're not sore the next day. See, look at that. Look how easy that is. But that shows you ankle eversion, all right? That's being set up with knee flexion. Look at that knee. It has to go over the foot. If not, you're not going forward. Partial lateral reaching lunges for changes of direction. Awesome exercise. Phenomenal exercise for the hips. And very short. We used to do them long, and we said, you know what? Unless you're a wrestler or something like that, you're never getting put into a stream position. And for changes of direction in soccer, rugby, football, all that, this is the way it's used. Low to high chops. Look at that beautiful hip movement with a little bit of pivot, which allows this knee to cave in, which allows this hip to internally rotate, firing the quads. I mean, the glutes. Core stiffness, not spinal flexibility. Don't ever stretch the spine. It's not a good idea unless you have a very special reason. Making this rigid is how you transfer forces from the hips to the shoulders. So you got a bunch of cool exercise. This is a normal fly. It'll be awesome for your chest, but man, this is great for the serape effect. The diagonal design. Look how that shirt stretches. Look how that shirt stretches. See that? There's your internal obliques, your external obliques, external obliques, and serratus. Look at that. Here's your pec. So when you swing a tennis racket, when you swing a bat, when you throw a ball, this is the muscular system that you're using. And look at what you're training it with. Easy. You know, a lot of professionals say that you don't want spinal rotational because you rotate the lumbar spine. That's not true. This exercise and all windshields, okay, stretch the thoracic spine, which is made for rotation. The higher you go, the more it rotates. And this type of rotation is necessary, for example, for golf, for combat. You need this. A lot of times for batting, you need this. So don't be afraid to do this under control. Look, the lumbar spine moves with the hip. You're not going to, crack your lumbar spine or break it or injure yourself. This exercise has been around for hundreds of years. It's never hurt anybody. This is another version that requires a little bit more balance and stability, but look at where this stretches. See this? This is a line. The lumbar spine is not stretched. It's not rotating. Here's where all your rotational stuff occurs, right there. So anybody that tells you not to do rotation because of the lumbar spine just does not understand. This is more severe rotation for golfers. Again, this here is not rotating significantly. This is where everything is occurring. Look right here at T12, T10. And of course, a lot up here. Okay? So these are the types of things that we do at IHP that allow us. There is a back pulsing for golf, real simple with a $10 band. So you don't need expensive equipment and you don't need an expensive place. You can do a lot of this stuff at your home with no equipment and extremely cheap. And there is my presentation. I hope that you enjoyed it and it clarified some things and showed you function in a different way. We can take some questions.
JC, my friend, very good, very good.
Hey, I did it short this time.
Cool. Yeah. Don't worry. We did good. Guys, let's see if I have any questions here. Let's see if I have Edna, Santiago, Jessica, any of my students. If you guys wanna, you can turn on your microphone. Devin, I see Devin there. If you know, I have some questions here. Anna, anybody on your side? Great job, nice. Thank you, Gine, Danielle. Some of our professors from other campus, JC, they gotta go because they have another meeting.
I understand.
But they saved, and then Anna saved, so they're gonna share screen with the students later too. Okay.
And they've got my email. You know, they can always email me with questions.
We're gonna have in the YouTube because there's a lot of good information. I really appreciate it. That's awesome. Let me go check in here the questions we have in my end here.
Yes, veja aí, Ana. So in this meantime, I have a question, JC. So you mentioned about the hybrid. So I know, but for people don't know, and then you have a triplex and a biplex. So explain that a little bit so they can like just.
Yeah, the whole hybrid philosophy, obviously, like I said, is to create a training system where you can plug in. You want bodybuilding? Plug in bodybuilding. You want powerlifting? Plug it in. You want whatever? You can plug it in. Now, the way we kind of do this is if you're going to use a mix of training, let's say bodybuilding, okay, and functional, we'll put we use the rest periods to do the functional stuff. So the main philosophy is work your body part with your machines and your barbells. And then when you're resting, use functional training for another part of the body. So if you're training chest today, train the chest with the machines. Leave the chest alone with the function. So we can use the rest periods with 1 exercise, 2 exercise, or 3. Remember, you have your traditional one. So if we put another one in there, okay, let's say you're gonna take a minute and a half off and we do 30 seconds. So let's take an example. Let's say that we're doing bench press, traditional. All right, we're gonna rest. And for the rest, we're gonna do an anterior reach on a single leg, 10 reps per side. If we just do that anterior reach and we go back to the bench press, that's a biplex, 2 exercises, traditional and functional. Let's say that you want a little bit more, okay? So we do anterior reach and we do a recline pull because it's for the back. Then we go to the bench press. That's a triplex. So let's say that you want anterior reach, recline pull, and a little rotation. And then you go back to the bench press. That's a quadplex. So we have the ability to train biplex, triplexes, and quadplexes to allow you to rest anywhere between a minute to 2.5 minutes between the traditional sets of that muscle group that you're working. That's just an example of the system that we have set up. Now, you know, we have warm-ups and we have build-ups and we have unloading systems. We have an enormous amount of programming that we've developed, but that's basically the main system of hybrid, how we use it.
Nice. And then guys, just to give you guys feedback, and then I've been using this for years since co-work with JC in his place. And I like the biplex if you train in one person, because then, especially if you, let's say in a normal gym, there's a lot of people, and then you don't want to use too much equipment because then you might lose your equipment. So when you do biplex, you know that.
Right. So yeah, if you're in a busy place, yeah. But remember, you can do body weight. So for example,
yes.
Let's say that I got the leg press, right? I'm on the leg press. Right next to it, I'll do a T push-up, you know, and then I'll do a crunch, you know, right there. Yes. And if somebody comes, hey, you can work in, but you can't take it because I'm on it, you know. Exactly. We'll work in, but exactly. So yeah, you can use, remember, you can attach bands to the machine you're using, so you stay close. You bring a medicine ball to the machine you're using, so you stay close, and you do body weight, you stay close. So that's another way to get around busy places.
Yeah, so busy places, either biplex or like JC said, or if I have 2 athletes at the same time, then I use triplex or quadplexes, because now the second athlete is going to use it, and then you have time to change the weights, adjust, and then you don't lose the machine, let's say that. So then the triplex works very fine. And one of the students had a question here for you, JC. I'm going to read it. So somebody that likes to run 4 times a week, okay? And what would be the best to work with weights or without weights, like body weight training or weight training? What do you think?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because it's not the body doesn't respond to the modality. The body doesn't respond to, the body doesn't know if you're lifting a 60-pound sandbag, a 60-pound dumbbell, or a 60-pound child. It doesn't know. So don't get lost on machines and dumbbells and no. It's load, it's volume, okay? Intensity and frequency. Those are the three variables that you program through periodized program. So I can do body weight training and do 500 reps for your legs, and trust me, you won't have any legs, just body weight, super legs. We got metabolic protocols that will tear up a muscle system inside of 1 minute. 2 minutes, you're done. So you go, oh, but it's lightweight. It's easy training. It's body weight. No, it's hard training. So you can do dumbbells, you can machines, very light. You can rock and roll right after you can run, because strength training does not impair cardio training, but cardio training will impair strength training. So if you're going to do strength work, you can do it before you run. Don't run, then go to do strength work. Now, if you run at 6 o'clock in the morning and you do strength training at 6 o'clock at night, then you got plenty of rest, assuming you don't have 9 hours of work, in which case you're gonna be like, dead, neurally dead. Back to psychomotor vigilance. When this goes, this goes.
Yes. Yeah, a good idea will be splitting the workout. So let's say you do your cardio and then you do your resistance training on a separate day. So then you have less chance of doing this. It's not that you cannot do it, but then especially if you don't have, let's say, a personal training or etc. One thing, a good question for you, this JC. If you have an MMA athlete now, how many times a week do you recommend strength and conditioning?
Depends on the athlete. There's some athletes that like to bang, which we try to pull them out, because we're trying to get MMA athletes to train like elite boxers. Floyd Mayweather doesn't kill himself. Okay, he doesn't. He's a $100 million a fight athlete. He don't kill himself. So we're trying to get MMA guys back. I would love 3 days a week. You want to know why? Because when they're doing 3 days a week, they're not banging at their academy. So I would like, there's no problems doing 2-a-days, but it's 2 medium or a light and a medium. It's never 2 heavies. I don't like more than 4 heavy training sessions per week. I prefer 3. So I would like 3 days, and then maybe they can have 6 practices all in, okay, into their academy. So altogether, I like about 10, 9 to 11, right in there, 9 to 11 per week. And we schedule them heavy, medium, light, heavy, medium, light, as much as possible.
Yes, that's very good. Anna, did you hear it? Did you hear that? All right, guys. So I think we're gonna end JC, and then of course this is gonna be recorded. And I want to say one more time, thank you for Anna from American Top Team for Lauderdale. If you guys in the area, go check it out. Amazing place. They're my friends forever. You're like my family. If you in Boca, Juan Carlos Santana, HP. Wait, somebody has it. Yeah, Brinkley. Sorry, Professor Brinkley from Orlando. Go ahead, my friend.
Hey, JC, I was curious, what type of strategy do you use, or do you to monitor the recovery of the nervous system from training session to training session? Are there any specific vital signs or anything that you look for on each day?
No, I'm very aware of the different parameters that you can use, from heart rate to blood work and all that stuff. And I'm not, I'm an old-fashioned Vince Lombardi type of guy. I talk to my athlete, man. At the end of the day, I don't care what the parameter says. If the athlete is waking up, we're back to simplicity, okay? What are the 4 key signs of overtraining? Pain that doesn't go away. Number 1, no, wait a minute. First, I don't feel like training. I'm tired. But, all athletes will say, I'm an athlete. I'm always tired because I'm always training hard. No, you're not. That's the wrong way to think. Number 2, pain that doesn't go away. Your itises. That is a classic inflammation sign. It's not tendinitis, of course, unless you got hit. But it's not tendinitis. Your shoulder just doesn't bother you, and your IT band is just not tight because your IT band is tight. Your body is telling you, you're putting more on me that I can handle. Well, if you man up through that, then we have insomnia, which is the next one in line. And if you're not sleeping well, I don't have to tell you that the whole hormonal milieu involved in recovery is thrown out the window. And then if you don't pay attention to that, what do we get? Especially during weight cuts, what do we get? Upper respiratory infections. okay? And I gotta tell you, we rarely get upper respiratory infections. Now, we're rarely now getting to insomnia. Why? Because we're pulling back on the training, doing more quality training, smarter training, and the athlete should always be never higher than an 8. And you go, whoa, how are they gonna improve? Because what they can do at an 8 today, all right, they'll do what they can do at an 8 today, they'll do it at 6 tomorrow. So the 8 tomorrow is much higher than the 8 today. But you don't have to take the body to 9 and 10 because you're going to immunosuppress the person to the point where you start the cascade of overtraining. So I am strictly a subjective coach. Talk to me. How do you feel? If today you feel tired, we're taking out one of the training sessions, because I don't want to do it next Friday when you're already on your way down to an immune function where you have an upper respiratory infection. So I don't use any highly scientific methods of measuring recovery.
Guys, just to clarify here, if you're my students, so he's talking about, let's say you can use just simple RPE, rate of perceived exertion. So you ask the athlete to grade the workout, and then if the athlete grades like 7, 8, so it's an indicator that it was pretty hard. You don't need to take to the 10 all the time, because that's a common old school culture that you gotta beat up your athlete for him to feel the results. And then that's exactly what JC is saying. And then I'm agree with him 100%, because especially when you have athletes that are doing like multiple classes, multiple sessions a week. So you need to think of the total volume, the weekly volume, not like one individual class and then beat the athlete, because the next day he has a practice and the following day, etc.
And
so
this is where the psychomotor vigilance comes in, because what we've noticed is we've developed enough strength in our athletes to be fighters and to be football players. I mean, we've overdeveloped the strength, right? We've also noticed, and Stefan will attest to the kind of training that we've done in the past. I mean, I've done training that I thought would kill somebody, and they survive. And then I'm going, you know what? They don't even need to be in this kind of shape for UFC, because a fight never goes here. And if it never goes here, why am I going there in practice? But they still get tired. They don't go as high, as hard, and they still get tired. I'm thinking, why are they tired? And it hit me about 3 years ago. You know what's tired? This is tired. The physical body can still go. I'm not saying that it's not tired, but it can still go. But the psychomotor vigilance starts to come down. And I said, well, can you train it? And the thing is, yes, you can. Just like you can train an executive, boom, when he's dealing with decisions and arguments for 8 hours. If Stefan and I would be in that environment, we'd be totally dead. It's like, imagine, Stefan, you teaching 9 classes in a row, okay? You would be exhausted, but you physically did nothing. But if you did that all the time, it would get to the point where you just talk for 8 hours, right? So that's where it's going. And physically, it doesn't beat you up, you know, but it still takes a toll neurally, which neurally, you have to come down neurally.
So very good, guys. Brinkley, it's okay? Good, my friend? Anybody else?
Yes, thank you, JC. Appreciate it. Good words, man. Good words.
Thank you.
Nice, guys.
Thank you, Dr. Stephanie, just to put this together. We have a lot of people here being very happy with all the information.
All right, my friends, I want to say thank you. We're gonna finish this up. It's gonna be saved on Facebook and YouTube. Check it out, American Top Team for Lauderdale, and then we're gonna share on our pages too. So very good, Anna, JC, my friends, and then Brian Bankley, everybody. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Thank you.